This is Midas, I believe. I believe a mighty girl can change the world. I want to talk about some women who are environmental heroines. Women such as Jane Goodall, Rachel Carson, Christina Figueres. More about her later in case you haven't heard her name. And my favorite heroine, Dian Fossey. First, I want to tell you a little bit about myself, though I am no environmental heroine, to explain how I came to know that field work in a third world country, especially as an unattached woman, is very hard. In a former life, I was a graduate student in ornithology at the Field Museum of Natural History at LSU, under the tutelage of the renowned George Lowry, renowned in the world of ornithology, that is, you know, and the even more renowned John O'Neill, who later became my first husband. In that life, I spent 5 summers as a field technician on expedition in the Andes of Peru, helping with their zoogeographic studies, for which they are very famous. My jobs included setting up tents, preparing meals, transcribing scientific notes, and preparing field specimens. We packed our food and goods on our backs and on the backs of mules and lived in tents for 2 months at a go. We broke ice to collect water for our breakfast. Believe me, we took only sponge baths. We lived on canned tuna and the meat from the animals we collected. Traveling in the Andes, we saw hills and valleys that had been denuded of native trees before the Inca had even formed their empire. We camped in meadows that had been maintained by man-made fire for hundreds of years. In the Andes, you can really appreciate what human inhabitants can do to an environment. Of course, these changes do not compare to the existential crisis man has created for the natural world in this time we live in. Dian Fossey lived 1932 to 1985, and this is her biography adapted from the website A Mighty Girl. Dian Fossey broke new ground for female biologists in the field when she set out to study the mysterious mountain gorillas of Rwanda. The American primatologists succeeded in getting close to gorillas when no one else could by imitating their behavior. But as Fossey did this work, she encountered the brutality of poaching firsthand. After her favorite gorilla, Digit, was killed by poachers, she founded the Digit Fund to fund anti-poaching efforts. She and her colleagues devoted a lot of their time and attention to anti-poaching activities and pressured local authorities to enforce anti-poaching laws and helping even to get them arrested. Tragically, Fossey was killed in her cabin in the Virunga Mountains of Rwanda in December 1985. Although the case has never been solved, it is widely believed that she was killed by a poacher in response to her aggressive anti-poaching efforts. She left behind an amazing legacy, both one of greater knowledge about these previously poorly understood primates and one of inspiration, which has motivated many people to join the fight to save mountain gorillas. Her efforts continue today through the Dian Fossey Gorilla Fund. Indeed, a mighty girl. Karen Christina Figueres Olsen was born in 1956. She is a Costa Rican diplomat. She was appointed Executive Secretary of the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change on May 17, 2010. This description is from Force of Nature from Time magazine and of the 100 most influential people, and it's written by Robert Redford. Quote, she gets results. The agreement at the Paris climate talks last year, the crowning achievement of her nearly 6 productive years as Executive Secretary of the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, is the most ambitious global resolution against climate change in human history. Her work shows the world that we can succeed in avoiding catastrophic climate change and become more unified in the process. How appropriate that this force of nature is leading the charge to preserve the very nature of life on Earth. What Christiana is inspiring us to do is nothing short of revolutionary. Act as one citizen to protect the future of all citizenry. And now, young millennial women are in the forefront of the resistance of the forces of today who are trying to dismantle this great work. So, I believe a mighty girl can change the world.